Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Advice Guru podcast. Today, I'm joined again by Stuart Wilson, and we are going to be talking about the third aspect of the Guru growth model, which is legal support growth. Stu, how are you today?
I'm really well, sir, and yeah, looking forward to this one. This is very exciting, isn't it? I think we've both been very giddy about this particular aspect of our growth model. It's great to finally be talking about it because it's been under wraps and behind the screens for some time, hasn't it?
That's a really good point. I know we've been speaking about this for probably 4 or 5 months,
Mm.
and I think this is probably my favorite tool that we've created because
Mm.
it's very, very useful for advisors, but also there's a direct client benefit
Yeah.
of Legal Guru that perhaps some of our other tools didn't have. I'm thinking about the lender support growth one, which we spoke about in last week's podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you particularly like about Legal Guru?
I think there's a couple of things really. I think the harnessing of AI, and we've been talking about that a lot in terms of how the new AI technology can be deployed in different ways to help with efficiencies and to help deliver better results and faster results. So it's great to be using some of that technology, but also, as you said, I think what's really interesting about this tool that we've developed is that there's an advisor benefit, but also a customer benefit to this. So this is a tool that an advisor can use internally for their own needs, but is also something they could deploy on their website as part of their own proposition to help their consumers, and that in itself is a great additional tool, an additional hook to keep your prospects and your clients close to your brand and stop them going elsewhere. So it's got a double benefit for me.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I just I remember the sort of evolution of this idea. I went on a call with just about every equity release legal firm. Well, it must have been about 8, 9 months ago, just talking through what Advice Guru was looking to do and how that could grow the market, support their firms, the advisors, etc. And I have to be honest, it was a little bit of a lukewarm response. And
Mm.
I don't know if that was because 8, 9 months ago we were in a bit of a trough. Market was really poor, really quiet, and no one really had any money or any ideas or any enthusiasm for new things. And I came away from that meeting quite disappointed and a little bit down. But then Matt Taylor from Equilaw
Mm.
approached me, and we went on a couple of calls, and we started talking about how we could use AI to help educate people on the legal aspects of advice, of the advice, and particularly the legal process. Do you remember those initial early calls?
Yeah, I do, and I think it was great to be engaged with Equilaw, because obviously they're a significant player in the market. You know, they're the biggest specialist equity release legal firm. But more than that, they've got some great ideas. Because of their size, they talk to lots of advisors. They get the whole spectrum of queries and problems and issues thrown at them from a legal perspective. And I think the germ of this idea really came from them, didn't it? In terms of they've got this
Yeah,
problem that
Jade Barry, I remember
it
it.
was
Yeah,
Jade, yeah,
yeah,
Jade, who said that we get so many queries, and there's only as big as we are as Equinor. There are only so many people in our team, and they're only there sort of 9 to 5 or whatever office hours. And we get all of these queries, and we'd love to be able to handle more and deal with more. And some of the more basic queries we'd love to be able to answer and in a more efficient way so that our team can focus on the more complex areas. Can you help us with that? Is there something we could do to alleviate that? And And I think at that stage, it's fair to say, in their minds, they're probably imagining that we could create some sort of website page that would help get people to the right person, or maybe an email tool. But we took that away and looked at how AI could answer that problem. Um, and that's where Legal Guru came from, isn't it? That's how the
Yeah,
started.
absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier on where you said you and I know a fair bit about AI because we've immersed ourselves in it over the last year, 18 months. But the thing that frustrates me about AI is, and this, sorry, I'm laughing already. It's the use of AI for crap, but
Mm, mm,
for things that don't benefit anyone or anything. And the cartoon boxes, the Action Man figures is perhaps the best recent example. Whereas you and I have kind of been picking apart every aspect of the later life lending process and
mm.
thinking, how could AI help us to do this better? And I think the legal guru for support for advisors and clients is a very real version of that. And how you trained it has made it a very smart piece of kit. So how did you train it? What did you do?
Well, the great thing with working with Equilaw, or one of the other great things about working with them, is that they have an enormous back catalogue of material. They've got podcasts, they've got guides, they've got FAQs, they've got oodles of documents, all addressing the entire spectrum of the legal process, from the really, really basic stuff to the really, really complex niche stuff, the kind of thing that maybe comes up once every couple of months or a couple of times a year. And so we've taken all of that content as a basic training tool for the agent, which means that the agent is an expert now on Equilaw's back catalogue. The agent has effectively become an AI version of the team. It knows as much about Equilaw's experience, about Equilaw's approach to issues, and about legal issues as one of their own human members of the team. Um, we also added into that training program wider documents from outside of Equinor, so that the agent could address more general queries about equity release and what it's for and who qualifies and how it works. So it not only can address legal questions, it can also address more basic questions. But at its heart, Legal Guru is now a fully trained, highly expert member of the Equinor team. It just happens to be an AI brain behind that rather than a human brain.
Love that. And I particularly like the fact that you trained it on things like their podcasts, which at the time I wasn't aware you could do. So there's a conversation that two people have had in a 25-minute podcast that it then listens to, gets the transcript, and the answers can be taken from there. So it's a very clever piece of kit that is extremely useful. And I've got a few examples because we have trialed it. Um, it's funny, we trialed it with the Equinor team themselves, and all of
Yeah.
the team tried to break it. I understand. So
Yes.
asking it questions that it didn't think it would know the answer to, and we've tweaked it. We didn't like some of the Americanisms it was coming up with, and Matt, Jade, and the team have given us the feedback, and we've got a really good product for advisors and consumers now. Um, I had, as you know, I have Advice Guru, which is this business that we use to grow other companies' business, and I have Guru Mortgage Solutions, which is my advice business, a separate business. And I have introducers in that business who ask me questions. And a few weeks ago, one of them asked me. I came in at 8:30, had an email, and it was a legal question I didn't know the answer to. So I thought, oh, I'll email Matt, get an answer in a few hours. That'd be fine. And then I thought, oh, actually, we just created Legal Guru. Why not give that a go? So I asked it the question. This is before the solicitors had even opened for business, and it gave me a really thorough answer. So I cut and paste that answer, sent it to the my introducer, who's a mortgage advisor. He sent it to their client. They sent a follow up question, which I then fed back in, got an instant answer, sent that off to the introducer who sent it to their client, who was delighted with the answer. And that is 10 minutes work. We haven't bothered the solicitor. Therefore, the solicitor can get on with the cases we've given them and we can complete cases quicker. So that's good news all round, isn't it, Stu?
It's fantastic news. It's a win-win for everyone, isn't it? And this is the way. There are a couple of ways in which we envisage Legal Guru being used. It could be used exactly as you've described there. The advisor using it as a tool, either to look as though they've got this immense legal knowledge, or just to help make sure that their introducer has got the information to hand as quickly as possible. But it's also something that could be used direct with a consumer, to avoid the advisor getting bogged down in legal questions, because at the moment a client might ask you a question, you've got to phone up Equilaw, wait for Equilaw to come back to you. If the office isn't open, then go back to the client, and the client says, "Oh, that's interesting, can I just ask this?" And then you're around that loop again of emailing and phoning. This tool gives you a real time, almost instantaneous way of dealing with those questions. And I think the other point about
Great.
Legal Guru is that it'll grow as we add knowledge to it as well. So all the questions that you're feeding in, that helps add to the knowledge of the tool, which is great.
Yeah, the knowledge and it learning thing I think is great. And the thing is, it learns, but it learns the correct way and the correct answers. And I always have a fear as an advisor who's, been in the market 20 years, later life for nearly 10, that my knowledge gets out of date, but I'm giving answers based on the knowledge I think is right. So an advisor shouldn't be giving any legal advice or answering any legal questions if they can get the right answer at their fingertips from Legal Guru. They can be assured that this is updated, that Equilaw have updated their information so that they're giving the right information to the client. I think that's important, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think you've got to be confident in an answer that you're giving, especially on a legal matter. Um, and your customer at the end of the day won't care about whether you're legally qualified or not. If they've asked you a question, you've given them an answer they're going to assume that's correct. And I think that's where, again, using Equilaw's vast knowledge, they are very experienced in this market. We've trained the agent on their back catalogue, and it will continue to grow as they add new content. That new content will form part of that training mode. And so advisors can be very confident. And to the point that you made earlier, the fact that Ecuador tried to break it and they couldn't, they're now even using it, aren't they, as like an onboarding tool for new staff. So they're that confident in it that they're actually giving it to new members of staff to help them increase their own legal knowledge, which is a great testament to the agent, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I know that Equilaw have given it to a select group of their advisors that send the business.
Mm.
And they're asking for feedback, and I've got some of that feedback here, and he's getting fours and fives. Well, I guess a four, I don't know, should be fives, but he's got four. And what they've been asking, would they use Legal Guru in the future? Would they recommend it to other advisors? And would they use the tool in the future, and what for? And advisors are saying, yeah, we'd recommend it, we'd use it. I'd use it myself to answer client queries. So that's exactly what you just described. um, this person has said, I'd use it myself to answer client queries. Um, they've also fed back that the answers should be more human and less legal speak, more customer
Mm.
friendly, they said, actually. So that's interesting feedback. I'd encourage my clients to use the tools themselves if they have a legal question. So it's everything you've said, that
Mm.
it it increases the time that advisors have, it increases the time that the legal services um, have to do the conveyancing rather than
Mm.
picking up the phone and asking email. So I think this is going to go really well. So what's the next stage for this then? Who's going to have access to it and when? Because if I'm listening to this podcast, I'm banging your door down and saying I want this. How do I get it?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, Equilor are currently trialing this with a select number of their advisors, and we're getting feedback, and it's great to get feedback. And I actually don't mind the fours out of fives that we get, because I think some of those dropped marks are good learning points. The great thing about AI tools is that they are contextual, they are more human-like, and so we can train the agent to be a bit more a bit less formal in its language and a bit more human in
Yeah.
its language, for example. So those are things that are great to get feedback on, because we can adjust the tool and make sure it plugs those gaps. But in terms of next steps, so we're going to continue to get feedback from the Equilaw trial group. We're going to make sure that our platinum members have access to this as well. As we've said before, our platinum members, as well as a whole range of other benefits, one of the great benefits of being a platinum member is you get early and sometimes even exclusive access to new tools that we develop and launch, and this is a good example of that. So our platinum members will get access to this as well. And then once we've got all of that feedback and all of that information back from those groups, we'll then make this as a tool that's available for others. And the other thing I would point out is that there is the ability within this, and we've already programmed this into the tool as it stands, but we will evolve this as we go. The ability for the tool to collect a lead as well. So if you are just deploying this on your website, customer comes in, wants to ask a question, it will encourage them to add their name and their email address in, so that that can then be used as a nurture tool to say, oh, thanks for using our tool. We hope it's answered your question. Here's some more information that might be helpful to you. Again, another way of keeping the customer, keeping the prospect close to your brand, to your company, and making sure they stick with you rather than going to your competitor down the road. So it's not just a tool for answering questions. This is a tool designed to help advisors attract more prospects to them and keep more prospects turning into leads and new business as well.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Well, I think we've come to the end of the third pillar. So our five pillars of the Guru growth model,
Mm.
which we've designed to support a growth in consumers by enabling advisor growth. And I know we've covered lead growth, a key one, lender support growth, and now legal support growth.
Mm.
So next week, the podcast is going to cover compliance support growth. And the final one will be business efficiency growth. So we will have gone through all five pillars of what we have to offer advisors out there.
Yes, absolutely, and it will quite literally complete that circle then. But it's a fantastic model that I think by the time we get to the end of that, and people look at the and consider the five topics we've covered on the five podcasts on that, you'll see just how powerful that is as a model for supporting business growth that uses and harnesses the power of AI and automation, not to replace advisors, not to move them out of the way, but as a way of making them more efficient and giving them more time. And that's the key thing, isn't it? There's never enough time in the day, never enough time in the week to do all of the things that you want to do in order to secure more business in what is still quite a tough marketplace. The growth model is designed to do just that. And already we've demonstrated quite a number of ways in which it achieves that in the first three pillars. And the next two will complete that picture.
Awesome. Great place to end. Stu, look forward to speaking to you next week and
Excellent.
listening straight after. Take care.
Cheers.